In January 2023, MrBeast released a video on his main YouTube channel called 1000 Blind People See for the First Time. MrBeast paid for 1000 people's cataract surgery, and as far as MrBeast videos go, it was pretty typical.
What does this say?
You just won $10,000.
Here you go.
Oh my gosh.
But somehow, that video sparked a firestorm of controversy. There is something so demonic about this, and I can't even articulate what it is. If MrBeast truly wanted to do something good and truly cares about disabled people, he wouldn't monetize their suffering and make them tap dance on video just so he could slap it up on YouTube. As someone who works in accessibility, I see what I call inspiration porn videos all the time, where it's designed to highlight the struggle of disabled people to tug at the heartstrings. MrBeast isn't doing that. It's the never-ending cycle of content creation that makes MrBeast feel insidious. Even when the reaction wasn't to accuse MrBeast of being demonic, it was clear that people felt really strongly about this.
You watch this video, you go, oh, how cute and how nice. I watch the video and I'm filled with rage.
What's wrong with you?
That we shut off access to a 10-minute procedure because we paywalled it and decided that like some people just simply can't get it.
Then almost 4 months later, and in the middle of me finally getting to write this video, he released a sequel, 1000 Deaf People Hear for the First Time. The reactions to both videos honestly haunted me, and I became obsessed with watching other people's videos about MrBeast because the reactions were both so passionate, but also so very different from each other. So is MrBeast doing something wrong? Could he even be evil? Okay, I know this video is about exploring the ethics of YouTubers, so that's gonna make this next part kind of awkward, but if you have a good time in the video, please like the video, and if you aren't already, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell. It does take a lot of work to get these videos made behind the scenes, and your support helps. Plus, we're kind of trying something out that's a bit new, and I want to hear if you enjoy it, so hit me up in the comments. Cheers. So if you don't know anything about MrBeast, it's important to understand that today, his content is deeply entwined with the concept of philanthropy, which is the desire to promote the welfare of others. In his June 2017 video called Giving a Random Homeless Man $10,000, MrBeast explained the format and did exactly what he said he would.
And just so we are all on the same page, this is not my money. This is a new weekly series where I'm getting companies to sponsor my videos, and I'm giving 100% of what they pay me away to random people.
I'm a YouTuber, I mean, you can see the camera. And so it's a series where I just, be nice and just give people some help. So if you want to take it, it's about $10,000. I'm not joking. Yeah, I swear. No, I don't like. No, man.
MrBeast's first brand deal did so well that it turned giving money away into the main theme of the channel. Even if his videos aren't all about helping needy people, they often rely on some sort of a challenge where money can be won or earned. This new model was a change from MrBeast's previous YouTube videos, and it helped to transform his channel and his life. He now has a web of 5 channels. The main one, the reacts one, the shorts/backup one, the gaming one, and the philanthropy one. MrBeast is huge. He's probably the single most popular YouTuber in the world. But here's the thing about MrBeast that, in my opinion, has made his fans so fiercely devoted to him. He's claimed repeatedly that he isn't in this for himself. Not really. Because he says he reinvests what he makes on his philanthropy content back into the business and aims to die without any money at all.
Instead of putting a dollar amount on it, now it's more just, I just want to make as much money as I can in my life and then do as much good with that money before I die.
Someone who says that, who disavows the primary motivation that drives so much within our societies, profit, couldn't possibly be evil, right? Ever hear of Carnegie Hall? It and many other institutions are named after Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest people ever. Libraries in particular were huge for Carnegie. He built thousands of them, hoping to give ordinary people the chance to access the accumulated knowledge of humanity for free, something that had helped him as a boy. If you live in a city in the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom, there's a pretty good chance that there's a big old building nearby that was made possible by Carnegie. In fact, this building, in my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, is one of them. Construction was completed in 1913, it was a library for over 7 decades, and then in 1986 it was converted to a courthouse. It's not just buildings that are named after Carnegie. He's got cities, he's got a dinosaur, he's even got a cactus.
By the end of his career, he had a monopoly on the production of steel in the United States. So by 1901, Andrew Carnegie is one of the richest men in the world.
Now, I think we can all agree that having public libraries is a great thing. The question is, should we have to rely on the super wealthy feeling generous to actually have those libraries? Like Carnegie, I'm biased because I love books, so I might be okay with choosing libraries over some other avenue, but were libraries even the best way to promote the welfare of others? And Carnegie wasn't exactly a saint. He got rich off the backs of workers who toiled in miserable conditions. These days, most of us can agree that he kind of sucked. Now, MrBeast isn't Andrew Carnegie. He's not an industrialist that made a fortune, sold his company, and devoted himself to using that money to build libraries. No, MrBeast's philanthropy is different. It's actually part of what made him successful. His charity isn't penance paid after earning more money than God. It's part of the actual product. I think that's an important distinction to make, even if you call both men philanthropists, and even if you believe that this model isn't inherently a problem. MrBeast is doing a lot of good, but he needs to keep doing stuff to keep doing philanthropy. That's literally how the model works. But the two men have attitudes that are more alike than you might think. The amassing of wealth is one of the worst species of idolatry. No idol more debasing than the worship of money.
I just don't think like owning a mansion is all that's cracked up to be, or fast cars. Buying a mansion isn't winning. Like finding a job you love and doing it over the course of decades is winning.
To continue much longer overwhelmed by business cares and with most of my thoughts wholly upon the way to make money in the shortest time must degrade me beyond hope of permanent recovery.
To be a good business owner, don't you have to know like where every penny in your company goes or something like that?
You would think.
I just want to focus on making great videos.
The public verdict will then be the man who dies thus rich dies disgraced.
Dying with a bunch of money is a complete waste of time. Or not a waste of time, it's just dumb, you know what I mean? I enjoy helping people, and so if I'm gonna spend my whole life making money just because it's kind of fun, before I die, I want to give literally 100% of everything I own away.
Again, MrBeast and Andrew Carnegie aren't the same person, but they seem to share a lot of the same views on things like money, philanthropy, and their duty to the public. They both saw their skill in business as an avenue to help others. So, having said all that, is it possible that some of the objections to both men are shared too? When it comes to the objections to MrBeast's videos, I needed some help. So I went to the kind of person whose job it is to consider matters of ethics, a professor of philosophy. Professor Brendan DeKennessy from the University of Toronto was kind enough to agree to review the cataract video and some of the reactions to it with the goal of helping me understand where some of the negative reactions might be coming from.
People were like, why the heck are you objecting to this, kind act that clearly benefited a lot of people? Like, what could be morally bad about that? But yet other people are sensing that something isn't quite right. And I think we should take those instincts seriously and try to see if there's something behind them.
In the case of MrBeast Philanthropy, the channel's proceeds are spent philanthropically, and MrBeast says he reinvests the money back into the channels and lives a basic lifestyle. At the same time, MrBeast has never shied away from admitting that, yeah, his lifestyle does personally benefit from his career.
But you do enjoy some nice things. You fly private, right?
Not really, because it's expensive.
Right. You stayed in $1 million hotel.
Yeah,
like even if it's for the business.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not
right?
denying that my life is great. I love it. I just don't think like owning a mansion is all that's cracked up to be, or fast cars.
Clearly, in the meantime, his lifestyle can't be unaffected by the fact that he's the most popular YouTuber in the world. But again, I don't think that's intrinsically wrong. I think there's something else fishy, maybe, going on.
And I think in the world we live in right now, you could argue that it's counterproductive to expect MrBeast or anyone to do all these things without any personal benefit at all if our goal is to minimize suffering. But as Professor DeKennessy pointed out, no one would care if you made that money from something that wasn't charitable. So it's hard to see how making money from philanthropy is inherently immoral. Now that one doesn't apply to Carnegie as much since he made most of his money early and spent it later in life. One objection that does apply equally to both him and MrBeast though is that we shouldn't need people to step in and create charitable causes to help.
So the second thing, and I think this comes up explicitly in the conversation, is a kind of general criticism of individual philanthropy in general, which is that, like, we shouldn't have a system in which somebody has to, some rich guy has to pay for cataract surgery. Instead, the government should provide cataract surgery.
My argument is that MrBeast should not have to do this. My argument is that the system, if worked normally in the way that it's supposed to, would not have a need for this kind of philanthropy.
This isn't a criticism of MrBeast's actions so much as it is an indictment of the flawed structure that allows MrBeast's content to exist at all.
I was imagining it as two different objections you could raise to Batman. So one objection you could raise to Batman is you could say, we shouldn't need Batman because Gotham's police and justice system and their public housing and benefits and safety net should all be better so that crime is solved without a vigilante. But you could think it's good that we have Batman. Batman's still doing good. That's the kind of lighter objection. The heavier objection is Batman's making it worse, actually. By bringing in Joker and Penguin and Mr. Freeze and all of that, or by probably making it more sustainable for Gotham not to do the systematic reforms that Gotham needs to do in order to address its problems.
So again, it's an objection, but it's not one that's specific to MrBeast. It might just be something that's wrong with philanthropy generally, if you agree. I think the most visceral reactions centered around the whole spectacle of the philanthropy though. And this is definitely a criticism specific to MrBeast, who on some level relies on that spectacle to continue doing what he does. If he doesn't make videos, then he can't get sponsors money to then give away or donate or reinvest, so the show must go on. Some objections claimed that the people in the video were being exploited, and if I'm being really honest with you, this is probably closest to the gut reaction that I had when I saw the video for the first time.
Some people express that as dehumanizing or that it's exploitative. Somebody mentioned on one of the tweets you sent me, performing gratitude for rich people. And that seems to me to be both onto something and really hard to pin down, because all of this is consensual. And so, if it really is consensual and the people are benefiting from it and they don't object to it, it's hard for me to know how exactly to critique it. But I also, I can get that feeling. I can get the feeling that it's dehumanizing. And maybe there's something, people are sensing that there's something problematic in being entertained by someone suffering. That it's almost like reverse Schadenfreude, ultimately the source of the entertainment is the good feeling of them being helped, but that depends on their being hurt in the first place.
In a lot of the reactions that address the spectacle or theater of MrBeast videos, the commenters talked about inspiration porn or charity porn, that the content exists to gratify you, the viewer.
I think you could make that kind of critique of MrBeast. It's philanthropy porn in the sense that you're getting the immediate gratification of seeing someone, in the video, there's this moment where someone's already been cured of blindness and then he comes with a briefcase of cash and says, here's $10,000. Does that make your day? And she falls on the ground crying. And you get that little hit of pleasure from, seeing that person be made happy. But you do that without engaging with the moral complexities in the area of, is just giving someone $10,000 in cash an effective way to use money to benefit people? Why is the healthcare system such that some rich guy has to come in and give people cataract surgery?
Now, I think MrBeast, especially on his philanthropy channel, talks a lot about how his viewers can help, and he often mentions how happy it makes him when he sees his viewers go out into the world and make a real change. In this video about eye surgery, he talks about See International, a nonprofit organization that's helped over 600,000 people with preventable blindness. So that's good. But there are usually still those quick hits of people getting free money or stuff sprinkled throughout. And speaking only for myself, I think it's fair to say that these moments do qualify as charity porn, even if MrBeast tends to do a good job of showing viewers where they can help. To me at least, it's clearly possible to do a better job of explaining why these things happen and offer a more nuanced look at the lives of the people being helped instead of just burying it under free iPads or whatever.
And I think that would address some of this feeling of disgust that people are having, but it would also make the videos much less sugary and digestible, and thus less popular, and thus they would make less money, and then you wouldn't be able to do as much to help people if your ultimate goal is to help people.
But the big question is MrBeast interested in spending his money in the most efficient way possible? Could he be doing more good than he's currently doing?
The last worry I have on my radar about MrBeast is whether he could be using his money more effectively to help people. I think the answer is obviously yes. This is clearest in his videos that aren't philanthropy, right? And so at that point, he's not doing charity, and I'm not sure the objection applies. So suppose that it's true that he could be doing more good per dollar. The question is whether there's something objectionable about that. And one argument you can give is, well, he could also be doing a lot less good per dollar.
Philosophers have also grappled with the practical dimensions of philanthropy. If you've decided you're going to give to charity, how do you maximize that choice? Is there anything wrong with doing less good than you might optimally be able to? Should MrBeast be giving everything away? To help figure this out, the professor introduced me to Joe Horton's all or nothing problem, which is actually kind of a recent discussion in philosophy.
Suppose there's a burning building. There are people inside of it. And if you rush in, you know that you will suffer horrible burns that will cause you chronic pain for the rest of your life. But if you run in, you could save some people's lives. Ordinarily, I think we would say that you're not obligated to run in, that would be taking on a huge sacrifice for yourself that you have the right to refuse to take on. Instead, we would praise you for running in.
So far, so good. But it gets more complicated.
Here's what's called the all or nothing problem. Suppose you do run into the building and you see one child and you grab them up. And then there's another child right there who you could also grab up. But then you say, I can't be bothered. And you run back out, leaving the second child to die. That seems morally wrong, right? That seems really bad. And yet, you weren't obligated to save anybody in the first place. It would have been okay if you'd stayed outside of the building and not suffered the burns. That's why it's called all or nothing. If you go in, it seems like you need to do the morally best thing. You need to save as many people as you can. And so the weird thing is that saving one child is still better, morally speaking, than staying out. And yet it seems wrong because you could have saved two.
Basically, MrBeast decided on his own to go into the house, and people are criticizing him for not saving as many children as he potentially could have. The paper the all or nothing problem comes from has some reasons for choosing not to maximize good, things that we'd agree on, like saving your own kid over a stranger. So what's MrBeast's reason? Andrew Carnegie credited hard work and reading with pulling him from a middle-class birth to unfathomable wealth. He believed that libraries would do more to increase the quality of life for the average person than anything else. I'm not absolutely positive that he was right, but it's not like he could have measured something like that back then. I can't deny the good that his libraries did and continue to do today, even if, as in the case of the one in my own hometown, it's serving a different purpose now. Many of Carnegie's libraries bore the inscription, "Let there be light," above the door. It was a message that encapsulated his ideas, imperfect though they may have been, and guided his philanthropy during his life and then beyond. MrBeast's philanthropy is different though. Its continuation depends on his channel's success. That doesn't mean that MrBeast isn't actually sacrificing anything or that he's not helping people. He is, obviously. He doesn't have to give anyone anything. He's choosing to. It's just clear that once he's resolved to help, he also chooses not to do the absolute best thing possible. So what will MrBeast's legacy be? Will he look back on his work and say, yeah, we did the best we could at maximizing the good we did? Honestly, I'm not so sure. Of course, he should still be proud of the way he helped. But while MrBeast bears the scars of sacrifice, I think we can all justifiably be a little skeptical of his commitment to save that fictional second child. We have to acknowledge that MrBeast has done a lot of good though. He can't save everyone, and he unfortunately does need the spectacle to keep helping people. And so maybe one day when we look back on his charitable work, we'll come up with a more uniquely MrBeast motto. Let there be likes. Welcome to the end of the video. A huge thank you to Professor DeKennessy for speaking with me about the objections to MrBeast. Professor DeKennessy had never heard of MrBeast before this, and he was only helping me understand the objections. So he's innocent in all of this. And if you enjoyed the video, if you liked the topic, the approach, let me know in the comments below. See you next time.